Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Amy and today we are going to be looking at the work of a fellow junk journaler and doing a review on that and a few vintage finds. So stay tuned. Okay, that opening sequence was terrible, but we're leaving it in. It's all right. I'm not a professional. So anyway, what I was trying to say is, or what I'll say in a longer, I can't speak. Let's start over. Jason and Galia went antiquing. Why didn't I go? There was a scheduling conflict or something. So anyway, they went and found a new booth at this antique store that we've been to before with someone that creates junk journals, folios, etc. And you guys, they bought me almost everything on this woman's table. So, except for the really big junk, I guess there was a big junk journal and they didn't buy that one because Galia thought it would be better to get two smaller things for kind of the same price as the one bigger thing. So, so I was kind of bummed when I was like, they shouldn't have even told me that, you know, because now I'm like, oh, I wish I knew what the big one was. But anyway, we're gonna look at that, and I'm not gonna say what antique store it was because I do want to do an actual kind of review of it, and so yeah. So I don't want to give anything away that could. I don't know who made these, but I don't want to give anything away that could identify them. But anyway, before that, I've got a few odds and ends kind of things. So I had done a video where I showed you guys stuff that I bought from the Etsy shop, Sweet Shop Scraps, and I was oohing and ahhing about how she packaged her stuff and how she had this yarn stuff, and I was like, I don't even know how to find this. Well, several of you said that it was ladder yarn, so I bought some ladder yarn from Amazon, and I got this one because it kind of reminds me of vintage paper, and so I thought it was really pretty, but there's like a lot of space, a lot of blank space in there, which I won't say is my favorite. But then, so that was one brand on Amazon, and then from a different brand, because I wanted to see whose I kind of liked better, I bought this one, which is more colorful, and but yeah, there's still kind of a lot of space between in that one too. That's hopefully the end, but so I hope to start I don't know if I'll use this like she did to wrap packages, because I discovered this week that I can actually lose money when I make a sale. So I've got to be very careful with how I price things, because one of the listings that I did based on my Junk for Goats YouTube channel when I was doing the book flip throughs is I listed something where you could buy it by the page, 20 cents a page. And I discovered that if somebody only buys one page and that's the only item they buy in their order, that it actually does cost me. So I've got to make a change to that listing so that I at least break even, right? But so yeah, so I don't know how much. I already include like a freebie pack in my orders, so I don't know that I'll add even more free things to these orders just so that I am not losing money, because we don't want to have spent all this money. If you're new to this channel, I spent, let's say, $10,000 to kind of ramp up my Etsy ephemera store and to get inventory to create junk journals. So obviously I can't just break even. I need to make some money to pay that back. So anyway, and then another thing is I have shown on this channel from Barnes & Noble flow books, and these are books that are basically scrapbook paper on steroids because they have lots of different components to them. So I've shown the Flow brand ones, I've shown the paper ones, and now Barnes & Noble has one, Paper Love. Now Flow and paper both appear to be European in origination. This one appears to be California, so the American version, I guess. And this is, I think, brand new to Barnes & Noble. So I got this one. I got another one that was, I think, Enchanted Forest. They had two out. These are $30, so they are pricey because you're getting a bunch of stuff. Now, if it were just scrapbook paper, it wouldn't be worth the $30, but you get a lot of other components. And like you get postcards. So these are perforated. Everything is, well, I think it's perforated along this edge, I think, but I haven't tried to take anything out of these yet. But you get scrapbook, you get stickers. These are stickers. You get scrapbook paper that's got envelope on one side so you can cut it out, and some of them have lines on it. So anyway, this was the Vintage Florals. Multiple pages of postcards, and also some frameable. They give you some, this one's not one because this one's still a postcard one, but they give you some full page heavy cardstock images for framing if you wanted to. They have wrapping paper. Now the other two also have wrapping paper, but they're just in their books with kind of a belly band. So this one's a little nicer that it's got it's in an envelope that you could also repurpose. So let me take these out and see what we've got here. So we've got two things of wrapping paper, but they appear to be blank on the inside. And I think the ones from paper and Flow, I think are dual-sided designs, which obviously if you're using it as wrapping paper, it doesn't need to have a design on the other side. But I think that the other two kind of assume maybe you won't use it solely for wrapping paper. And each set of, like, I think the other books have two, this one has two of these envelopes also, but the other books that have it with the belly band, I think have 4 in each section. So this is not quite as much. This book also is not quite as big as the paper one, for sure. It might be as big as the Flow one. And paper is still my favorite, having looked at these, but it's still got some pretty stuff in it. These, I don't like that these are like tags, labels like you'd put on a present, but they're glossy, and I just don't like that as much. But here's the other wrapping paper. Here's strip stickers. More postcards. Oh, this one must be tags. Yeah, tags. So they all have very similar components to each other. Oh, well, maybe, does this one say wrapping paper too? It doesn't. So this is in the very back cover. So let's see if it's more wrapping paper. So maybe if it is, then it looks like you get 6 pieces of wrapping paper compared to the 8 that you'd get in the other. Oh, but it's not wrapping paper. This is a poster. Okay. So I have seen posters like this in antique stores, and they weren't old or anything. They were new like this, but they obviously weren't folded. So that's one issue with this. If you did want to frame this, it's going to have all the creases. So I don't know. I mean, I like that, and I guess maybe people would use this for fussy cutting if they didn't want to use it as a poster, but then it still has all the folds. So I like that they gave me something that huge, but again, I mean, don't you think that the folds would be pretty obvious if it was framed? I don't know. So you can just look at it as more paper if you want. So anyway, there's that. So that is a new thing to Barnes & Noble. And I don't know, maybe you can order this. I'm expecting to start seeing these available on Amazon too. Wouldn't you expect that? But I don't know if they're there yet. All right, and then this came from Half Price Books from the Collector Guide Price book shelves. So this is California Orange Box labels, and I was like, how many of those could there be? But you guys, it is a beautiful book. Okay, and I was kind of joking with Jason. I was like, who grows up and wants to be the illustrator for a price guide book? But you guys, they're fantastic. Now this, I paid $7.99. It's full of these. So these are going to be fussy cut out and are going to end up in my shop for sure. I mean, it is, I'm hoping, I haven't looked to see if the pictures on one side line up with them on the other side. I'm hoping they do, but you know, sometimes they don't. And there are some questionable pictures in here that I probably won't list because they would probably be considered super offensive today. I'm not even going to show them on here, but there are plenty of, well, in California, there's tons of indigenous people there. So there are plenty of these orange boxes that maybe depict indigenous people in an unflattering way. Although, I mean, I'm not an indigenous person, so it's not fair for me to say, but I like the artwork. I think it's great artwork. And then there's also some for African Americans or blacks in here that perhaps are not in good taste anymore. So I will be conscious of that when I'm putting things in my shop, because I had that same problem with the book that I took apart that had sheet music covers, because there were a lot of ones that are in bad taste today. But yeah, I mean, you guys, they're beautiful. And one of them I had, I think it was near the back, I have the actual label, the real vintage label in my possession. Let me see if I can find it. I'm sure it was here really close to the back. But, and they even had the ads for the lithography companies that they would work with. So it wasn't just the orange box labels. Oh, shoot. Yes, okay. So I have this shamrock one in real life. So yeah, this is probably my favorite book of these that I've ever found. I mean, I am in love with that book. And I would buy that every single time I found it. So I will forever now be looking for that book when I'm in a store that sells that kind of thing. All right, what else do we have? We're getting kind of tipped here. That's what happens when you're working on a bed. It's not a hard surface. Okay, don't laugh at me. I bought a whole bag of these old film tubes because they were those tubes were so great. The lids were kind of this is a bad example. The lids were kind of flexible. My dad saved my baby teeth in one of these. I would have saved my kids' baby teeth in these, except I couldn't find these anymore, so I had to use airborne tubes. But I think these will be great for beads and that kind of thing. And it was a whole bag of them. And I don't know. They're just plastic, but I feel like they don't make things like this anymore. Now this is a different one. So, but this was from a Salvation Army. So yeah, I just thought, well, shoot. And it was $1.99. And then we've got, you know, fall coming up, so I found this ribbon. And then there were a bunch of these that were still in packaging, so I could choose to sell them as is, or I can choose to use them in craft projects. And one other ribbon, which is kind of pretty. And this kind of felt more Victorian-ish feel to it. Okay, was that I don't know. Well, let me look and see if there's other things in this packet or in this box beside these things we're gonna review together. So my husband buys the mystery book with a date packages and then gives me the wrapping paper. I need to take this apart carefully so I can see how exactly they wrapped this to get the multiple pockets, because then the person who sells this sticks little goodies in those different pockets. So I need to carefully take it apart and kind of figure out how that was done. Hi, let me take a brief moment out of our video to let you know that today's video is sponsored by Junk for Goats. Junk for Goats is my business where I sell and resell vintage, antique, and some modern ephemera for all of your junk journaling or crafting needs. I have shops on Etsy, Whatnot, and I list my digital items on my coffee shop. All of the links for those are below in the description, so please check that out. It's also important to note that 10% of all the proceeds from my sales are used to purchase goats from Compassion International. Those goats are provided to families across the world to help them meet their own families' needs in terms of their diet, but they can also take and sell the milk and the cheese that they produce from their goats to their friends and family nearby, helping to provide them with an income source that is valuable in the areas in which they live. So if you would like to craft with a difference, please check out the description below. And as always, thank you, and please enjoy the rest of the video. Thanks. All right, well, let's get started. So this, I don't know how experienced this junk journaler is. They've sold way more to me than I've sold to anybody myself. I haven't sold any junk journals. or any craft things like that. So kudos to them for that. Now, I do have some criticisms that I will share as we go through, but in general, I think this stuff is fantastic. So first, we have this. So they've used these metal corners that you can get from Temu, you can get from Amazon, any of those places on here. And I think just based on, you're not going to be able to see this, but I think they've taken a cardboard box and have covered it with, I don't know if this is a printable or if it's from a book or a magazine, but it feels like more like it would be from a magazine than a book, but it could be from a book. But anyway, so this is I'm not really sure about this. So when we got it, this was not closed. It was just loose like this. So I assume they expect you're going to tie it together. And this was just from the price tag, so you can just ignore that. But, and they took all the price tags, so I don't know how much any of these things cost. But I'm assuming this was the closure, but it feels like it needs a buckle or something on it to connect it together. And then they've taken it and made it into an accordion folio or whatnot. So they've taken a pad of scrapbook paper to make the inside of this. And they've, decorated all of everything you can see is covered. And then I don't know what because this, okay, it looks like these are, what are these called? That you push it through and then you peel, it's got the two pieces of metal that you then peel back to like manila envelopes have, the closure for manila envelopes. That's what it looks like based on the fact that I can see this little part sticking out. So they've put that in there to hold this on, and then they've covered it. So this, in my opinion, is a pretty well done piece, and I just think this needs some help. Or if it's going to be something that you just tie, it's kind of thick for that. This is like jute rope kind of like thing, and so it's not really ideal for tying. And especially as this expands, it would be difficult to tie. So I think if you were going to have a tie thing, that maybe something a little less sturdy might be good, or to have a belt buckle. But overall, I thought this was a pretty good one. And this may be similar, but we've got some bee printables, not my bee printables, because I now have a honey garden in my collection, but a really pretty printables. And I like that they put it on a black paper. I don't think this is painted. I think this is paper too. And a different style closure, which I like this kind of closure for this because it's long, so it will allow for expansion. And then again with the accordion. Now, one thing, okay, I need to preface all of this by saying junk journaling is crafting, and there are no rules. You decide what style you like and you go with that. And your style doesn't have to be a defined style. It doesn't have to be Art Deco, mid-century, grungy, shabby chic. It doesn't have to be any of those. It could be literally what you have in your house that you don't even have to pay for. So like I might say that these colors don't really go with this bee theme. It doesn't matter, because this is what this person chose to do, and it's still functional, and it's still, I mean, this is pretty. I'm just the snob that's like, I would have picked colors that went with this maybe. But I think this was well done, and I think that I really liked this one. And again, it's long, and it's got, you know, possibly a Temu key on the end to give it a little bit more charm. All right, then I don't know, this may be another one of those too. This one, unfortunately, it was already torn when Jason and Galia got it, and I think it's because this was used to kind of hold this flap down, and it's super thin, super thin. So you probably would have needed an actual piece of lace to, so if I were going to kind of fix this now that it's, I mean, I will probably just cut these parts off, because I don't think it, and maybe put like a piece of Velcro, a Velcro tab, so it would hold it down. But yeah, so that was kind of a miss on this one. It's pretty, but it's not functional that way. But they did some really nice kind of collage work with buttons and stuff on this, and some pretty printable that they used. And anytime you use glue, right, there's a chance that it is going to come off. But so this one I thought was pretty well done. And yeah, it's more of these. Now, why did Jason and Galia buy me 3 of these? I don't know. They said they bought me all these things to serve as inspiration, which I appreciate. And we've got one in here that doesn't want to expand very much. So it looks like maybe this pocket and this pocket were glued to this one, making it kind of, I don't know. There's also this one back here, and the other ones kind of had this too, I just didn't point it out. There's also 2 pockets back here that really don't expand for some reason. I don't know if glue has gotten stuck in there and it's keeping it, but in any event, these would be great for storing ephemera, or, you know, as I cut out things from books, and I want to do themed journals in the future, I could write a theme in here so that I could see it whenever I open it, and then use this to store the smaller ephemera. But yeah, this I will probably, like I said, pull this off altogether, and then maybe just put a Velcro closure there, because at this point I couldn't really do the lace, because you'd want to put the lace underneath this back part to keep it on. So yeah, okay. Then we've got this book, which is pretty. Again, ignore, oh well, this one is, at least the price tag was pinned on with a bulb pin. And bulb pins are great for putting dangles. Okay, well, I don't need to just ignore that part. But got a little envelope with papers in here to journal on, several of those. One thing I will say, there is a lot of, in all of these things I'm going to show you, there's a lot of, well, what would you call it? Pieces like this that you can take out and use either in crafts or to write on or whatever. And we've got the lace on the outside of this, and then this is all appears to be, maybe there's a background page on it, but then there's just a lot of stickers collaged on here. And this appears to be, so I guess the original paper looked like this, but see, this is upside down, right? Yes, upside down in comparison with this. So that would be something they're always saying to, when you're putting your journal, your signatures together and stuff, to make sure if you've got directional paper, to make sure that it's going the direction you want it to go. So, okay, now this one, it's not quite as much, but we've talked on this channel before how not all glue is created equal, and depending on the kind of paper you're working with should drive the kind of glue you use, because some glues will oversaturate your page and make them wrinkly. No, I don't want you to get in there. And some will not. So you just need to, if that, now some people that wouldn't matter to them that they've got kind of, unfortunately to me it looks a little warped, right? But with junk journaling, that could also be a style. So we got to keep it all in perspective. But anyway, so see that she's got some inking here. I'm assuming if this was a guy that did this, I apologize, but I'm pretty sure that the antique store owner said that the booth owner was female. So there's several things in here, and these are things I would expect to find in a Temu paper pack. There's no claims of things being vintage in any of these. We've got a cool kind of cutout here that's got some, oh, that's glued down, so I guess was not supposed to come out, but it could, you could have had a thing here with this where you could take it out, but this is all glued down. But it's on graph paper. I'm not going to show everything in each of these because then we'd be here forever, but here's an envelope. Now this looks like kind of a practice envelope, right, where we're kind of learning how to, I have envelopes like this, which is why I can say that. We're learning how to kind of fold that stuff. And then definitely plenty of space for writing. Now this is, I guess, a single signature, but it has a lot of pages in the signature. And sorry, I've got a cat hair now on my face. I don't think I got it. And they did, I'm presuming, we'll see when we get to the center. I think it's sewn, but it could be glued. But just all kinds of tuck spots with, things to take out. And, oh, we've got a tab. Well, this tab is, unfortunately, kind of come undone. It's sticky, but it's not very sticky. So that's one thing you can do when you have sticky things like this, is you can still use glue on this part because the glue dries clear, but it'll give you extra reinforcement so that it won't, you don't have to worry about it coming off later on. Just more different ways of doing tuck spots. Oh, we've got like a waterfall kind of, this is the same paper that she used in the accordion things. So that's neat. And, oh, and this one comes out. If you wanted to take it out, you could. And then we've got like a tuck spot here, which is always good if you're going to create tuck spots in weird places, that you create this kind of punch out or whatever, so that people can tell it's something that they can store stuff in. But yeah, it looks like overall the basis for the inside of this is this graph paper, which is great. But see here, okay, we've glued stuff to this side, but then it's made this very uneven for writing on. So just something to keep in mind. And maybe even when you're creating this, I've seen a lot of people say, before you put them in the signature, and maybe they waited to decorate the signature till it was put together, which would be a little bit more difficult. But if you're able to decorate these pages before you sew the signature, you could put them under a super heavy book to help flatten them out before they go in, or even after. I mean, the way she's made this is, and I can't tell if this may be the middle. It looks like this is the middle. So she's covered the center. So I can't tell if this is stapled or sewn. It kind of looks like it's stapled. I feel like I'm seeing staple marks here. But even still, it lays pretty flat, and you could put a book on it, but it's not gonna flatten out these individual pages like if you were able to flatten them out shortly after you glued them, so that as they were drying, they would flatten out. But it's so cute. I mean, this little kitty thing, she's got, you know, the pockets. We've got tons of, I'm gonna just call them Temu stickers because I feel like I've had some of these stickers in my life. But yeah, just a good example of different ways you can stuff your journals with things. So we definitely used this a lot because it's a great way to add loose pages. And then you could take this and write on it, put your little note and stick it back in here. And then I love these cat things, so I'm really glad to have gotten several of these. But we've got a pocket here and a pocket here. So that's kind of like the double pocket that I was talking about with using with the children's book image here. And then you fold it up, and then you'd have another space for a pocket. But obviously, part of it when you're selling these is you provide all these extras so that people can then go and decorate their own pages. Because not everybody wants to save their junk mail and their magazines to cut out their own ephemera to decorate their journals. So this is a great one that it gives you all the stuff that you need to decorate it. And it's all been kind of thematic through here. Oh, look at that. We didn't look at this. This is a I'm looking to see if it's a, okay, so they have cut out, I watched a video on this. Sorry, this cat hair is really bothering me. I've watched where you cut it out on one and you put your, you could get this from a envelope, a windowed envelope, or wrap, you know, if you get anything in cellophane, you know, just cut a piece out. They've attached it here with washi tape, and they've decorated the other side as well. But then you can put something on the other page that'll show through the window. So that is fun. And let's see if there's anything else we want to highlight in this. So this is the kind of stuff I want to make, you guys. Okay, here's one that's kind of a half page. So your pages don't all have to be the same length, especially if you're using recycled book pages and stuff. You're not going to have, your end product may look like it's all the same, but inside it's not, right? So this is, I really like this idea. And then we come to the end. So I can't tell, they might have used a file folder as the base for this and covered it up. That's kind of the thickness that it feels like, but you can use cereal boxes. Now, because she just did the single signature, cereal boxes are probably a little bit harder to do like this because they're a little bit thicker. So yeah, your file folder or hanging file folder is probably going to be a better choice for a style like this. All right, then we've got this one that kind of is supposed to have, maybe it's supposed to be like this, kind of an envelope like, I'm not sure, but there's no way to keep it closed. So that would be a criticism of this. And if this is the kind of thing where we can add more stuff to, we just won't be able to close it at all. So it would have been maybe helpful if they had glued in some kind of ribbon or something so that at least, even if it's filled to the max, you could still close it so that stuff wouldn't fall out. And then we've got some glue issues again here. And some people, if you are using the thicker glue, some people will still have a paintbrush to spread out the thicker glue so that it's not maybe quite as obvious where exactly the glue was. So just something to think about. But again, we're using printables and stickers, kind of steampunky vibes here. And it looks like it is part journal, maybe part folio. So we've got another waterfall one here, which is great. You can write, you know, your hidden notes. Does this one come out? This one is stationary. And then we have, we're using some kind of decorative tape here to kind of, some people glue in their signatures, tape in their signatures, sew in their signatures, staple. There's no rules, right? You could do whatever. Like, I don't really want to sew in a signature, so that I wouldn't do that kind. But then we've just got, yeah, I'm pretty sure I recognize a lot of these stickers. And again, we've got the folder that's got the cool tags and stuff. Like this one, probably just printed on both sides. This one is more decorated. They put an eyelet in here. But again, we're a little wonky with the glue. And I have experienced the same things. I had a printable, I have several printables from Pink Monarch Prints on Etsy, and they sell folios, folio printables, and they have YouTube videos, instructions on how to make it. And I've done the same with Victoria Designs, and I have created things, folios, with pretty thick paper, but I used the wrong glue and it was wavy, and I didn't know about the stick it under a heavy book thing at the time. So I've experienced some of this, so that's why I can speak from experience. So even though I haven't sold these things, I have actually done some of these kind of craftings. But this one, it looks like our base pages are going to be tea-dyed paper, which is nice, and they've cut the corners with a corner cutting thing. So there's several just blank pages in this. So maybe this first part is the actual journal, because then we've got this, which is, okay, so see here, she did the sewn kind of method. So we have like a little journal here, but again, we've got the wavy pages. She's gluing a pretty, I mean, this is a pretty thick paper, gluing it together. So yeah, it's just, it's a matter of preference. Okay, so then that little book was right here, and then this folds out, and look at all the goodies in here to decorate all these pages that we had that were blank. So I'm probably going to have pre-decorated pages in my journals that I sell, but you don't have to. You can give them a blank journal and then a bunch of stuff to use in it, which is great. This almost reminds me like this shape like of Australia, but it's like birds, I think. So, all right, so we've got that. And then we have another loose piece before we get to the end. Oh, and look at that, you guys, that's awesome. That is beautiful. That's a beautiful printable. I love that. And yeah, so then you can fold it open. That's fantastic. She did a really good job on that. I love that. I probably will never get this detailed. But yeah, I love that. That was cool. And then we've got a big pocket back here. So this really is, aside from it missing maybe a writing board that some people put in this kind of folio journal, this is like the full package, right? And so here is a folio with even more hidden spots with more hidden things. So no telling how long it would take to find all the stuff that she's hidden in here. So kudos to her. Literally my only constructive criticism on this is it needs a way to close and some of the glue choices. All right, we are already to 45 minutes, you guys, and I still have okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. There's a couple things in the bottom of this box that are not related to her things, but I think I still have 3 or 4 more pieces of hers to show you, which I'm gonna save for another video, because I feel like these are kind of educational too, not just show and tell. So let me kind of move. I'll just show you kind of a preview. We've got this one, got this one, and we've got this one. So we will show those on the next video. But in the meantime, let me show you the rest of the stuff in here. Look at this, you guys. A Cabbage Patch sticker book. And it's got the stickers in it. They're puffy stickers. It's not... So somebody did the stickers, but then they didn't fill out the thing. Isn't that kind of weird? Have I done a thumbnail yet for this video? I don't know that I have. Let me hold up one of the journals that we did of hers. Maybe I guess we'll go with all right. But yeah, I hope you guys like looking at these junk journals, especially if you're wanting to. I know there are so many good YouTube videos out there of people that actually take you through the whole process, and I'm hoping to get to that point at some point. But I mean, my reason for creating a channel was to do hauls and Temu hauls, but this will be okay, different, but yeah. So I enjoy looking at other people's art. So then we got this deck of cards. I love these Norman Rockwell cards. Some vintage golf cards. I now have way too many golf cards, but these were... Okay, I'm not going to make the mistake again of trying to take this off to see if there's paper inside. Now I know it's just the advertisements, but at some point, once I'm done with the cards, I can use this in something. But yeah, vintage golf. And then Screen Lovers address book. These are all things that Jason and Galia got me from the same place. Oh, we love Cary Grant. Is that Grace Kelly? I don't remember what movie that's from. I made Jason watch through just about all the Cary Grant movies with me. And unfortunately for the women in those movies, with few exceptions, they all kind of blend in together. So, I don't know. They thought that I might like the pictures, but also the paper, since it's the address book. So, I don't know. These are kind of random things that could perhaps end up in ephemera packs. All right, then I have this Audubon Nature Society. I think I have a set of these already, but they thought I would enjoy these. These are the kind of books that had stamps that came with them that you would find. And it looks like whoever owned this book at least already affixed the stamps where they belong. So those are just, and the paper is a good quality paper, and it's good patina on it, and these are lovely. So if these ended up in an ephemera pack, somebody might say, oh, I only want the stamps, or maybe they want the whole page. Who knows? So we got Flowering Tropical Trees. And sometimes it's nice when they haven't used the stamps yet and they're still in there, because then you can do whatever you want with the stamps. But it would not be hard to get the stamps off of these if you soaked them in warm water. Okay, well, I'll just put that back in there later. So we've got houseplants, exotic birds, coral reef, wildflowers. So they're at least the subjects I like, flowers and birds, right? Burst of spring. And then, oh, that was one of the journals we're saving for next time. They got me a book on New York. Well, it's a series, World Cities, and this is New York. And they thought I would, because it's kind of matte pictures, so they thought I would like the pictures from these. I really like these black and white photos. So you guys, once I get access and can start putting all my books on a shelf, I'm gonna have so many, I'm gonna realize how many books I've got. Aeronautical charts. Oh, well, I love this right away. Love this. And it's on, this is a little bit thicker, so this could make a journal cover. Cut it in half, make a journal cover. But otherwise, it's just got a bunch of maps in here. But really, it's the front and the back. I don't know what they paid for this, but the maps in the book are not as interesting to me as the maps outside. And then last is Travels, a travel book. Oh, that they thought would be a place to document your travels, but it is just a book. But it does have it looks like it has a few, it'll make a nice journal cover is what I'll end up using it for, because it's got a nice inside. But there were a couple pictures in here. So just like a Reader's Digest has one or two pictures or plates, there will be a few things that I can harvest from it. Alligator. Oh, William Bartram. He's a pretty well-known artist for these kinds of things. But yeah, very few pictures overall. But this, okay, there was a claim to fame for this. Now, let me see if I can find it. This specific book is travels through South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. But the claim to fame, this is a series of books that apparently each book is a different place. And it says, we believe that the Lakeside Classics comprise the longest continuously published series of its kind. For a complete list of volumes since 1903, please visit rrdonnelly.com and select About Us, then Lakeside Classics. So that's impressive if they've been doing this since 1903. But I mean, it is what it is. So okay, well, that is the end of this video. I don't even know what time it is, you guys. I have to go visit with my mom at 4:15. It's 3:45, so I might actually be able to do a really quick, no, I probably shouldn't. I probably should make sure I'm ready to go over at 4:15. So tomorrow I think I get to film again, and I'll film these last 3 journals because I want to give them the time, because they look like they might be a little bit more intricate, so I want to give them the time they deserve. So I hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to skip the nostalgic TV trivia for this video, just because I need to get some of this stuff cleaned up before I go. But I hope you enjoyed seeing what our goal is. Our goal for this channel is to start making some of these awesome works of art, because that's really what they are. They're works of art that are functional and fun, right? I mean, how fun is it going to be to create tuck spots and fill them with things? I told this story before, but I'm going to tell it again. I had a customer buy some butterfly stuff from my shop, and she requested some specific butterflies if I happen to have it in this listing. I really enjoyed looking through that stock to see if I had any of those butterflies, and then I was looking through my other butterfly things that I haven't listed for sale yet to see if I could find any of those, and I found a couple that I put in just as a freebie. And I'm like, that is really fun to me to create custom packages for people, I guess. And I feel like creating these junk journals will be kind of an extension of that, and just the chance to make something that maybe somebody would really enjoy. And so, I mean, you know, when I think about all the things that I do in my life, obviously being a parent and a wife and a mother and a daughter and a child of God, all of those things are way more important than any of this. But when I think about how I spend my time during the day, whether it's my actual work as a accounting manager, or my hauling on YouTube, or, you know, my purchasing, you know, all these things that I do, sometimes I think about what's heaven going to be like. And I don't think that it's going to be we're all just standing around singing and stuff, although I do like to sing, so I hope I do get to be in a choir, you know. Not like there's going to be tryouts in heaven. I don't think that. But I think we will be productive in heaven. And I don't think they're going to need an accountant in heaven. So I want there to be some things in my life that I'm doing that perhaps would be something that maybe I would get to do in heaven too. And maybe that sounds silly, but I think of people that are in the creative arts, whether they're a chef or, you know, a home cook or carpenters, people that create that use the things that God has provided us with in life and create. I would like to think that they will still get to create in heaven. And I want to be, I think, okay, well, now we're just getting deep into this. And I'm sure I have viewers that are not of the same faith system that I am, and that's fine. But this is my faith system, and it's my channel, so I am going to talk about it. But yeah, I think we'll all have something that we get to do and be productive with in heaven. And I hope mine will get to be something. I've always been a sentimental, nostalgic person, and I'm not the kind of person that thinks that there will be no earthly things in heaven, because there are so many things that we've created in this life that are beautiful and that I believe God thinks are beautiful. And so I'm just hopeful that that there will be a chance to function in that way in heaven, right? Because if we didn't have a purpose there, I know the purpose ultimately will be praising and glorifying God, but there's so many ways to do that, so many ways. So yeah, so I want to experience a little of that heaven on earth, and this is where it kind of comes from. So sorry if that last part bothered you, but I like to be real on this channel, and I like to share from my heart on this channel. And so you guys are like family that I've never seen or met. So, okay. So I said we were gonna not do the TV trivia on this video, because I'm running out of question cards and I don't want to run out of them too quickly. But I need to clean up before it's time to go over to Mom's. And usually I'll sit over there, and that's when I kind of really work on my digitals, because, well, it's very hard to have conversations with her. And so we do have conversations, but it's the same conversation over and over again. And unfortunately, you don't have to pay a whole lot of attention. That sounds terrible. It sounds terrible when I say that. But it's the nature of the disease. So, all right. Well, if you're still here, thank you for having stuck it out. I know your time's valuable and you could spend it in so many ways, so I really appreciate when you spend it with me. And I hope that you'll consider coming back. And if you've not yet subscribed, I hope you'll consider subscribing. We're trying to get to 2,900 subscribers, and just a little drop in the YouTube bucket, right? But this is home for me, so thank you for those of you that want to participate in that with me. And wherever you are, whenever you are, I hope you're having a great day. And until we meet again, take care of yourself.